Guys, it's Jericho back for another video. I'm not in my house, my apartment. I'm in my aunt's house. I'm house sitting, so the scenery is a little bit different. But this is my first video of 2018, so yeah, that's awesome. Today I wanted to do a very long overdue video. Like 4 years ago, I got asked about my awakening story, so I'm finally getting around to it. These stories are kind of different for everybody, but a lot of them have certain similarities. Like, some people just kind of came upon it, whereas some people, like, expressed that they've always felt different. For me, the latter is my situation. I always felt kind of different. For instance, I was the only kid that I knew growing up who was, from a young age, raised to kind of believe in magic and that fairies were real and things like that. And I also kept believing in these things, like into my teen years, like well after I had officially started learning witchcraft and divination, like beyond the simple palmistry or tea leaf readings. But when I was 5, I had an experience that kind of probably predates me actually actively awakening. But when I was about 5, when we lived way out in the boonies in the country, I had I had insomnia when I was really little, and I remember one night after everybody was asleep, I was awake, and it was like in the summer, so I went outside and I was just like standing on our back deck, like petting our cats, and I saw like what I thought was like lights over the trees, and it didn't look like they were very far away. So I decided that I was going to put on my shoes and like follow them, which is not a good idea when you live out in the country or when you're a kid. You shouldn't do that when you're 5. But because if a car had been driving around, I was walking on the road and they would not have seen me. But I allegedly, according to my mom, I got like at least half a mile down the road and I saw this thing like in the sky and it was covered in lights. And the lights were like, they had the sensations when you looked at them that they were flashing, but they didn't look like they were flashing. And it was really weird. And the lights had like colors. They were like red and blue and green and yellow. And it, at first I thought they were flashing different colors, but like I remember looking at it and like squinting because it hurt, but like it looked like the colors were all coming through at the same time without mixing, kind of like different static particles. And it was just this big, huge, like thing in the sky, and it was like really weird. And it was like right in a field, and I just like was staring at it because it was like I had no idea what I was even looking at. And then is like quicker than I can even imagine something being. It just disappeared. It just like it came down and it kind of hovered there for a minute and then it just went zhoof, and it just like shot off and there was no sound. But left behind it was like a trail of light, and I don't know if that was just me perceiving the lights that left because they left so fast or they were actually there, but it looked like there was physical lights that were left and then faded away, and that was really weird. And I told my mom about it because my stepdad like drove up like a minute or two later, and I was just standing there dazed, and he was like, "What are you doing out here?" And I was like, "I don't know, I saw something," which was weird, but like he drove me home and everything because I guess my mom had woken up. But yeah, pretty sure it was a UFO. You can call me crazy if you want. I seen it. But and then when I was 6, this is kind of different, like sort of off topic, but not really. When I was 6, my mom gave me like a copy of The Hobbit because I was a really advanced reader and I loved it. And my best friend and I were really into like the dragonology books and books on fairies, like the different types and how to find them. And I think in a broad sense, like that age was when the whole thing started. In the summer, I believe, of 2004, I was into like fairies and stuff. I was really into Neopets and I loved the fairies there, so I'd look up all things that was like anything to do with fairies and imagery. And I was into pages for like fairies and aliens and monsters, etc., like fan club like pages. And think I remember seeing like little advertisements for different blogs and stuff for like real werewolves and like vampires and stuff like that, and I didn't think about it much aside from like wouldn't that be neat. Hold on, I gotta pause. Okay, I'm back. Some months later, like in October of like that same year, I found a link for an emailing list for like real elves and fairies. If I remember right, it was like on something called like One List or One's List or something. And it was like crazy because like I signed up for it even though I was like little. And it was really crazy to encounter like all these people that were really magical people. Skipping the parts about self doubt and stuff like that because a lot of people talk about that. I eventually felt that I was like different in the way that they were different. I felt like I was one of the Fae people, but I also still felt like strong connections to like alien stuff. And I guess I just kind of decided that that makes the most sense to me for why I feel different. And I got all that when I was like 11 or 12. And then around that time, I had also heard about star seeds, and I learned a bit about it, but like even now, a lot of the starseed stuff is kind of hard to sift through if you've ever tried. It takes a lot of work, and I haven't been able to get through as much as I would like to. But like the starseed category, I guess that I fall in is called a wanderer, but that's neither here nor there. When I was like 16 or so, 15 or 16, I started retrieving through shamanic journeying these memories of like fairy stuff and alien stuff, which like completely erased any self doubt that I could have had left at the time about it. And that's through that is also how I kind of found my stereotypes. And before then, I had like no connection with the Therian community. Like Therianthropy can fall under the umbrella of Otherkin, but like they developed kind of separately as groups. So like I didn't really delve into that until I was 16, and that was like 7 years ago now. I think. Yeah, that was 7 years ago. So like that was a long time ago. But yeah, that was a quick narration of it. But essentially, that is my awakening story. That's a very, you know, that's basically how I discovered it. And a lot of it was like old internet stuff that I don't even know if any of that stuff exists anymore. Those pages, like, they had some like really 90s graphics on that site, those sites. Like, if a kid was looking into that stuff now and saw those pages, they would be like, yikes, what is this? This is ancient. But, you know, whatever. So, yeah, that's my awakening story. If you have an awakening, oh god, I'm dying. No, I'm not. If you have an awakening video and like you follow me or something and you really like want more views on it, just you can link it below and I will watch it when I have time because I love stuff like that. Yeah, anything else, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And happy belated 2018, everybody.